Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm proud today that the House is considering one of my highest priorities as the chairman of the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, H.R. 3080, the Water Resources Reform and Development Act of 2013, or WRRDA. WRRDA is the most policy and reform-focused legislation of its kind in the last 2 decades.
The committee come to order.
Thanks.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I said, this is the most policy and reform-focused legislation of its kind in the last 2 decades. The new name reflects the landmark reforms. We've added an R, WRRDA, Resources and Reform Development Act, because of the number of reforms we have in here. It's also the most fiscally responsible WRRDA in history. And also no earmarks, but it does not cede our constitutional congressional authority to the executive branch. We made sure that we maintain that. We've worked together in a bipartisan way on this bill since day one, developing this bill with input from members, stakeholders, through listening sessions, roundtables, and hearings. I want to thank my partners and original co-sponsors, Ranking Member Ray Hall and Water Subcommittee Chairman Bob Gibbs, and also Water Subcommittee Ranking Member Tim Bishop for their work on this piece of legislation. I want to thank all the members of the committee and all the staff for all their hard work and desire to work together on this important infrastructure and reform legislation. I'm also proud that WRRDA has received more than 70 letters of support for stakeholders and ask unanimous consent that that be put into the record.
Covered by general leave.
In addition, it was passed out of committee on September 19th on a voice vote. This bill is about strengthening our infrastructure so we can remain competitive. It's about economic growth, it's about trade, it's about jobs. Not just the jobs that will be created when we're dredging ports and rebuilding locks and dams, but the jobs that will help our manufacturers when they manufacture their products and send them into the world markets, making sure they get there in a competitive way. Also, making sure that those products coming into our ports and harbors, getting onto the shelves of our local stores, allowing the consumers to buy these products at a lower cost, allowing them to keep more of their hard-earned dollars. Congress has not enacted a WRRDA since 2007, and we can't afford to delay. Without improvement, our water transportation system becomes obsolete every day and we become less competitive. If we cannot compete, we lose jobs to those who can. Our bill cuts red tape, reforms the bureaucracy, accelerates project delivery. It sets hard deadlines on the time and the cost of studies. It also consolidates or eliminates unnecessary studies and requires concurrent reviews. And our bill streamlines environmental reviews. We're going to repeat, it streamlines them, doesn't eliminate them, but streamlines them. Our bill is also fiscally responsible. This WRRDA bill deauthorizes $12 billion of old or inactive projects that were authorized prior to this current law and fully offsets new authorizations. In addition, it sunsets new authorizations to prevent future backlogs at the Corps of Engineers. This WRRDA has no earmarks, and our bill establishes a new, transparent process for future bills to review and prioritize water resources development activities with strong constitutional oversight and without handing over our constitutional authority to the executive branch. And I want to repeat that. I think it's very important that this body, that the Congress, holds on to its constitutional authority and not give it over to the federal, the executive branch, as we have done for decades. We have been recognized by leading outside watchdog groups for having a bill with no earmarks and for keeping congressional oversight without ceding that authority to the Corps. I'm extremely proud of the accomplishments, and we should all be. WRRDA breaks down barriers that hold back the development of our water resources infrastructure. It maximizes the ability of non-federal interests to contribute their own funds to move studies and projects forward. It also expands the ability of non-federal interests to contribute funds to expedite the evaluation and processing of permits. And it establishes a public-private partnership program in water infrastructure with the leadership of Rodney Davis. That's in this WRRDA legislation. This bill improves our ability to compete by authorizing needed investment in America's ports. As I mentioned, this is a jobs bill, not just construction jobs to improving our ports, but to helping our manufacturers and to helping Americans be able to keep more of their hard-earned dollars. Our bill supports our underserved and emerging ports to also help them become more competitive. It reforms and preserves the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund and the Inland Waterways Trust Fund to better ensure those fees collected from users for these systems are utilized for their intended purposes. These are all important and necessary reforms, but at its heart, WRRDA ensures that we don't lose sight of the importance of strong infrastructure and keeping us competitive in the world. Our bill supports our water transportation network to make sure that it provides the foundation for job growth and fosters a more robust economy. I ask all members of the House, Republicans and Democrats, to join me in supporting this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania reserves. Gentleman from West